Tonneau covers use snaps to hold in place. The closest thing I have to that are these Zeus connectors from the model car garage. I love photo-etch from this company. It's very easy to cut from the fret and use. The radiator is missing a filler neck. I decided to fab one up with styrene rod. This little detail will allow me to connect the hose from the reservoir to the radiator. Next up are the turn signals and headlights. The signals are easily done with a silver Sharpie on the back of the lens and Tamiya clear orange on the front of the lens. While the turn signals dried, I installed the headlight buckets with canopy glue. After the glue dried, I placed in the headlight glass and used floor polish to glue them in. You see, getting the glass in is made easier with a moist toothpick. Use the molded-in housing to guide you onto the installed bucket. Then add a little floor shine from a small brush and let it all dry. When it was time to attach the chassis to the body, I had a heck of a time getting it to line up. The radiator core support glues to the body, then almost clicks into a slot on the front of the chassis. When it was all together, the chassis appears to sit in the body crooked, and it really threw me for a loop. However, I believe this is the way MPC intended it, as I could not get the body and chassis parallel with each other without removing the radiator. So I did my best and glued it with canopy glue. This took a whole day to dry. The devil is in the details, and I was going to put as many in as I could bear. First was the heater core with heater hoses. These gave me trouble as the braided line I used is a bit firm and pulled the heater core off the firewall. No biggie, I just need to trim and bend the hose better and re-glue the heater core to the firewall. I installed the rear end. The kit includes a metal axle and is a bit too long, so I trimmed it with my handsaw. I set the height I wanted, thanks to the extended shock tubes I did previously, and glued it in with canopy glue. Next was the brake booster, another 3D printed part from my stash. I drilled out the hose connections so I could have a nice place to glue. I left the wire its natural metal color. The radiator needed hoses and connections for them, so I used some Tamiya 2mm braided hose with a thin wire inserted in it so I could bend it to the shapes I needed. I used heat shrink tube and electrical wire that is slightly wider than the braided line. I wanted to make a socket that I could easily fit over the water pump's neck, like in a real car. Once the heat shrink tube was heated up, I pulled out the red wire and had a nice fitting.
Yeah, boy.
With the tonneau cover dry, I could add light gray panel liner to bring up the details. I flipped the model over and wanted to finish the headers by fabricating collectors and attaching exhaust pipe. I decided to use two sizes of shrink wrap, one for the collector portion and the other for the exhaust pipe. In hindsight, I should have put the heat shrink flush with the collector part of the pipes to have one less step. Next time I'll do better. I snipped the wire at an angle so it would sit flush with the side pipes. I then propped them up and painted them with Tamiya's titanium silver. At this point, I was very close to finishing the El Camino.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
The install of the brake booster was done with super glue, and I just tucked the brake lines into the crease of the fender. The Optima battery was next, and I treated it the same as the brake booster. The wires are only so long, and I ran them to the bottom of the engine bay. With the mineral spirits dried, I used canopy glue to attach the tonneau cover to the bed. I supplied a little weight to allow the glue to dry while it was in the right position. The final engine bay details belong to the radiator reservoir and washer fluid reservoir. I masked the top of each piece with tacky putty. This allows you to make a wavy line on the part. They are filled with fluid in real life, and this simulates it. I used 2 coats of the green I mixed with the engine, and that was real close to the tone of radiator fluid. I used a medium blue from my art paint for the washer fluid reservoir. Finally, both pieces were coated in a thinned out tan to complete the look of those GM fluid reservoirs from the 80s. Once dried, the reservoirs were installed and tubing ran to them. I made a discovery during this. The tubing on the left has a satin finish and takes the super glue very well. The tubing on the right has a glossy finish and will take to canopy glue. I'm assuming the shiny tube is silicone. The final bit to take care of was the wheels. I did not like the placement of the front wheels using the kit's mounting holes. My chosen tires were too big also. After switching the front tires to a smaller set, I cut the pegs off the wheels and sanded the back of the wheels smooth. I also removed the paint on the front of the chassis where the wheels connect with sanding sticks. I then glued a plate of styrene to both sides of the front end. I then used Plasti-Weld on both of the surfaces and sanded the tires in both wheel wells.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
The Plasti-Weld has a longer setting time and allows you to work with the parts. While it dried, I used a water bottle cap to hold the chassis up so I can level both front tires for a squared up stance. This kit is done. I made a lot of mistakes with the paint on this one and learned from it for the next one. I mean, I'm not going to do chrome on the whole body again. That's just crazy. Thank you for watching.